I don't really necessarily need to get in there, but I think I'll do it anyway just to be safe. Certainly beats using a brush. That's usually what I use. I'm trying to make smooth strokes with the grain of the wood. You gotta be real careful. Do not let get any of these loose fabrics on here, or if you do, make sure you wipe them off so you don't get stuck in that tung oil. I guess let's see, get some here. Oop. Try to get it so that it's over the creases. Okay. Now, I'm just going to have to, trick is where am I going to hang this on to keep it from doing that or touching anything. You may have to let it air dry a little bit, and that stuff kind of goes in there pretty good. But in any event, we'll start with this one next. Wipe it on. Make sure you get the edges. Probably want to do those first because that's what you're going to lay it on. Okay. A little more. Easy to go in one direction and then go in the other direction so you're coming off of it instead of cramming it on like that from the edge there. Do that edge again. Okay. And the next one. Do the edges again first. Smooth, even strokes. It's going to give it a lot more gloss than you're usually used to seeing, but on these guns, but I don't care. It looks really nice. I think it's worth it. Okay. I'll get a little bit here as well. Yeah. Stick my fingers in there. This is probably unnecessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just so I can have a fairly consistent look. That way if anybody looks up close, they won't notice that there's a spot's missing. Okay. That's it for now. We'll wait about maybe 12 hours or a day and start this process again. Okay, the morning after, at least, well, it's been about 24 hours. It's kind of early in the morning. Time to get some of the steel wool here. And just run it over gently on this wood a few times before we add the next layer. So we'll do that. And the reason you do this is to kind of add some teeth, as the other gentleman says, to the wood so that you can put the next layer of the sealant on, of Tung's oil. As you can see, it's dried pretty well. And it almost looks the same as before I put that first layer of tung oil on, but now it's, as you can see, there's a little bit in there, but we're going to add probably at least 3 more coats so that this wood will have a nice look to it. They say if you want it to have more of a matte or flat finish, that this is the last step needs to be, running the steel wool over it one last time. You're supposed to do this between each layer of tung oil that you apply. If you don't, at the very end, if you want to have a nice gloss finish, you don't need to run the steel wool over it, but that's really just a matter of preference or choice. I mean, honestly, it looks good either way. This looks a lot better than the original wood before we started working with it and put the stain on. So we're going to, may not be strong enough. Maybe I need to use a coarser grade. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to do this a few times. I guess if we do this again and it doesn't work, we can just always go back and add another layer. Okay, right now we're done with that. We'll just put this aside. We'll get some tacky cloth here to wipe it down and get any of the loose debris off. Because the last thing you want is, loose piece of steel wool somehow stuck on there when you apply your next coat. That's not going to do you any favors. Just make it look like a really crummy job. See, there's more of that seal coming off again, but that's to be expected. Looks fairly clean here. Tacky cloth on here. Okay, I'm done with that. I've cut some cheesecloth just to the right size and then folded it so that there's no cut edges here. It's all just folded. So it'll be easier to work with and not get any loose burrs. And again, I'm using Formby's tung oil, which you can get fairly inexpensively at Lowe's for $8.97. There we go. I may need some more of that in a minute. So now we're going to add our coat. Just going to wipe it on. Goes on very easy. Smooth strokes. Try to look and see. Make sure that there aren't any loose fibers or anything like that. Trying to hold this without touching it. It just occurred to me I probably could use, and maybe you guys might want to consider doing this if you're not going to film it. You might want to use a very large, like a U-clamp or something like that. Clamp this to the side over here so that you can have just the exposed area that you need to apply the sealant to.